The draft.
The night before the draft.
How are we going to sleep, fellas?
I'm not going to sleep.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
There it is, live from the Toyota Lounge. You guys know we love Toyota. The official vehicle of DNVR.
Yes, it is.
Brought to you by your Front Range Toyota stores. Great show for you lined up because it is the last show before the draft. We're going to talk about two prospects tonight, or today. Our last two that we'll preview before tomorrow's show. We're also going to talk about what's at stake, not just for the Nuggets, but for all the teams around the NBA. Should be a good one. Over here, Brendan Vogt's here. He walked today.
Oh, yeah. Thought I'd change it up and walk to work. Shout out to our Serbian viewers who may be looking to be slightly more entertained than that match. Very sorry. Very sorry it keeps going that way for you folks out there.
0-0.
Yeah, Serbia loves to qualify for things, big events, and then not make it out of the group stage, which is a tough bet for a fan.
It's tough,
That's
man.
tough. So our thoughts are with you, friends.
Then over there, Harrison Wynn.
Yeah, a 0-0 draw, or sorry, a 0-0 draw.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In a competition like this is tough to stomach. That's tough.
It is tough. Guys, we are 24 hours away from our draft show. We're going to be live. It's going to be phenomenal. But more importantly, come down to the bar and watch it with us. We're going to have a camera set up downstairs. We're going to have audio from this show playing downstairs. So it's not like you're going to miss the show. In fact, you can even send us notes. There might even be opportunities for you to come on the show or be on the set before the show. It's going to be a good time. We have food specials, drink specials. More importantly, our cam downstairs, I'm really hoping we get a lot of boos. When the Lakers pick, it doesn't matter who they pick.
Right.
Boo that guy.
Talk shit, yell, scream.
I didn't even know who Kyle Kuzma was
Curse.
till they drafted him. Then I hated him immediately.
Say some shit about JJ Redick.
What's awesome
Really,
about
whatever you want.
no such thing as a wrong draft night take. You just get to say whatever you'd like.
Yeah.
And then time passes.
It's
and
so true.
We're all wrong together.
We're all wrong together. Actually, you know what? I'm declaring a new theme night for tomorrow. It's random jersey night. That's what they do at MSG, right? It's always it's like summer league where you have to wear your most random jersey. If you
What's
got a
the
Skeetish
most
V-League,
random jersey you have? Do you have one?
I've only got 3 jerseys.
I don't think I have any jerseys.
Actually, I have
anymore.
4. Nope, 5. I have a Jokic and a Murray. I've got a Melo.
Ooh.
I've got a Dwayne Wade. And I've got a Team USA Kobe jersey. Never going to get a Lakers one, but I got a Team USA Kobe.
Wow.
5
nice
jerseys.
selection there.
Yeah. I've also got a Partizan Djordjevic jersey.
That's your best one.
92, by the way, when Partizan played in Fuenlabrada.
Adam's just very discerning about who he wears that around and when. That's why you don't
I've
see
also
it.
got a Red Star jersey, actually, too.
You're playing
has
both
to be
sides.
both.
We know
You're
you're
I have
playing
Red
both
Star
sides.
and Partizan. I'm
Depending on
telling
the
you.
crowd he's with, he's
I'm
ready.
all over the place.
Yep.
I need to get a Serbia Yoke jersey. Oh, I did. You know what? If anybody, do me a favor. Somebody send me a link to where I can buy a Serbia Jokic jersey from this year's Serbia.
Right.
Do we even know what it is yet? I don't know.
have not seen the mock-up of this year's jersey.
I'm going to shell out so much money for that.
What about that video everyone tagged us and sent us this morning of Jokic doing the promo?
Did you see where the microphone fell off?
Did he have a mustache in that?
I think that was a Jokic hadn't shaved lately. Lighting hit him funny, but
It
maybe
looked like he was rocking a mustache.
Ooh, Kale, pull it up, man. See if you could find that.
check it on the DNVR Nuggets page. It does. Your Wind, I think he has a mustache.
That's the first thing I noticed about it. Maybe it's a Team Serbia
It could
thing.
just be the lighting.
Man, I got to be honest with you guys. That would be big news.
A mustache?
Just a look. Yoke's had the same look since he got into
Right.
the NBA outside of obviously.
Do you remember
bigger,
how
littler.
jarring it was when he put on a headband?
It was very jarring. I've always thought, okay, let's see it. Can you zoom in? Is there a
Look
way
at
to
that.
zoom in?
Look at that. Pause it. Pause it. Pause it.
That might be a mustache.
You don't even need to pause it. Just zoom in. Are you able to zoom in at all?
I'll zoom in as much as I can without it getting too blurry.
I can get blurry, brother. We can do
It could
this.
be lighting. It could be lighting and the dimples. I think
Is
it's
that
lighting.
a mustache?
Man.
Lighting and the dimple. Oh,
That's
it's
a mustache. That's a
That is a
mustache.
mustache.
Chat, mustache or not? What do you got? You
That's a
gotta
mustache.
Talk to us.
He's
Bro.
shaven, and he's left the mustache.
He looks so much more Serbian with this mustache, man.
and he got a haircut, he shaved, and he left the mustache.
Am I alone?
Never seen this before.
I know we're big on conditioning for our favorite players on the Nuggets this summer.
I think he looks good.
But is it okay if I think Jokic should be allowed to smoke cigarettes if he wants if he wants to.
So when Dirk was playing, his hair went through a transformation during the season.
Lots of styles.
He cut it before the year, and he cut it so by the time the playoffs rolled around, it was grown out.
Right.
So he had like the shaggy look for the playoffs. I could get behind Jokic doing something similar.
I can't. I like
okay.
haircut yoke. I wouldn't mind though him going to like the mohawk or the Euro mullet, like one of those looks. I feel like
I
he
just
could pull it
wouldn't
off.
mind a little more like shaggy, raggedy look
Okay.
once
with
the
you,
playoffs come.
I'm with you. I like this.
A little more of a rough look. The mustache is
a little
hilarious.
rough and
though.
rowdy.
The mustache is hilarious. I'm so excited for all of these updates, by the way, on Team Serbia. I'm just so in. I'm more into that than I am into the draft. and free
Waiting for the
agency.
Team Canada updates.
Yeah.
Well,
Those haven't really
keep
rolled
waiting.
in yet.
I was watching Team Serbia in the Euros, and I'm like, oh, they don't have Jokic. Different sport, I know,
not soccer.
but I still kept waiting for
Yeah.
the Jokic appearance.
I wanted to ask the central question right off the top today, though, which is our headline question, which is what's at stake? Because it weirdly feels like a lot is at stake going into this draft. And yet, to 28th pick, it's not that important of a pick in a down draft. It feels weird. But as we just head into this draft, I'll start with you, Harrison. What do you think's at stake, and maybe who has the most at stake?
Well, it feels like there's pressure building for the Nuggets to come out of this offseason with some momentum.
Yeah.
And of
you're right.
course, a lot of that's hinging on what happens with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Is he staying? Is he leaving? What's he doing? But if he leaves, there's going to be some bad vibes, really, regardless of how the Nuggets recover from it and what other moves they make. If KCP stays, I think regardless of what happens the rest of the offseason, regardless of what happens in the draft, the Nuggets had a successful offseason. I think you can look at it that way.
But don't you feel like the draft, and it shouldn't be this way, but the draft, I do feel like narratives will come out after that.
Yeah, because it seems like the Nuggets are going to take somebody
Yeah.
in the first round.
Right.
Maybe they'll take two guys. And, the narrative out there right now from the fan base is we have too many young guys that aren't going to be big contributors next season. Why are we adding two more?
Or why did we take anyone at all? I don't think Calvin Booth can win this draft. Like in the way we're describing it, this context of the immediate fan reaction, podcast reactions. I don't know if Calvin Booth can win this draft. He can pick a guy that makes the team better in the long term, or maybe even immediately if everyone, if God's willing. But if he drafts a young guy, you're going to say, man, they have too many young guys. If he drafts a ready-to-play guy, you're going to think, well, where does he play? So, I think maybe a good center pick people would be happy with. Even within that, everyone has different ideas of who the good center pick is.
Do you think he could win the headline with De'Ron Holmes?
Maybe.
I kind of think yes.
I think so,
And,
too.
and it doesn't make sense.
And it's
necessarily.
only because it's been built up as this lock to happen.
There's a lesson in this.
Yeah.
Is it a smokescreen or is it PR prep for the eventuality?
It's the biggest irony is what if it was a smokescreen? The whole fan base was hooked on it, and then it was like, no. I told you the funniest outcome is he's available. They're on Holmes, and they don't take it.
I agree.
And they're like, we never even were interested.
On the board, fellas.
So I just kind of think depending on how people feel about
feel like
Calvin
that's
Booth right now before he even picks, they almost kind of know how they're going to react to what he does. I just don't know if that's. I agree with Win that if KCP stays. And you somehow, if you want to win the Serbs over, just trade for Vasa, I suppose. But beyond that, I think, any move is going to be scrutinized until the Nuggets just hit the floor and win some games.
There is one way he could win the draft, and that's by trading the pick.
I agree.
Plus somebody else for something.
I agree with this, actually.
That's how he could win it in the minds of the fan base. What's actually been interesting, though, is you've heard the Lakers say this. You even heard Brad Stevens and the Celtics say this. Everybody's all of these good contending teams are actually publicly saying that we need to draft and develop guys in this new CBA.
Right.
It's been an interesting trend. Rob Pelinka said it yesterday. Brad Stevens said it. You're probably going to hear other contending teams say it. Like, good teams want to be drafting guys. Now you can make the argument that the Nuggets drafted 3 guys last year, but you're going to see more and more good contending teams focusing on the first round of the draft.
I strongly agree with that. That Cal said a year ago what a lot of guys are saying this year, and you can, gripe about the execution, but it is at least like more and more common now to say, because I know, and like good friend of the show, good friend of mine, Jeff Morton, he's been hammering this home. You cannot win with this many young guys on a team, and I think that he's right. Traditionally, you go back and look, it is true.
Malone
I think one
agrees.
thing that's going to happen out of this next CBA is the middle class might get squeezed a lot. Not even the middle class, the lower middle class. The veterans who would have been the 7th and 8th guys, who usually those guys are pretty good players. But it just might be that there's no money for those guys, and teams end up carrying a bunch. Now, we'll see how the smart teams navigate that over the coming years. But Denver clearly is going to try to navigate that by having lots of young players that they feel invested to develop, and that could continue, obviously, into this draft. I agree with you, though. Let's say you pick a player you really don't like. Right after that,
Filipowski.
You don't like Filipowski? He's really that bad on your board? He's not
No,
I don't
here's
want
the
him.
thing. Here's the thing. And I can say this because I'm not a draft analyst.
Okay.
Filipowski seems like a very good player. Like, he actually seems like a pretty high floor guy at backup center. It's not a pick that would get me excited, though.
Let's say they draft Adam Bona, okay? Like something like that with the 28th pick. A guy that's just not really a guy we've really gone all in on. He's not that exciting. And then 5 minutes later, it comes out that the Nuggets and KCP are agreeing to terms or something like that. That's how you could win the draft, too.
Oh,
it's like nobody cares about this guy.
He could draft Adam Morris at 28.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. No, I could make as many threes as Zeke. So to me, that you're right.
Before you reworked your form or after?
I need to rework my form. Actually, you guys want to tell some tells? I gotta. Should I wait till Dev's here?
Yeah, wait till he's
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Wait till he's here.
wait
Just
till
bring
he's
it on him when he's here.
I'm gonna on the draft show tomorrow. I'm just gonna like bang him over the head.
Inner
for something.
podcast disloyalty is the theme. Just so if you're wondering. And
Horrible. Something I would never do to my
trifling.
worst best friend. I think that there's a lot at stake for Calvin Booth. I don't think it's totally fair. What you were saying, I think it's fair to judge him for the offseason, but there is this several day break between the draft and the rest of it. And I do think that there's going to be a lot written about whatever Nuggets do, just because I don't foresee an awesome draft.
Yeah.
Really quickly, just kind of loosely rank outcomes as far as how well they'd be received. Because I think Wynn's right that trading the pick is probably best received.
If you get something.
If you trade it for
If you trade the pick and Zeke Naji for nothing,
for salary cap space,
that might be even worse than taking Filipowski.
If the pick and Zeke and Reggie gets you a point guard upgrade or something, people would probably applaud that.
Right.
I think you're right that the second would probably be taking Holmes.
De'Ron Holmes.
I think it's worked out. Whether it's a smoke screen or a pump up job.
Yeah.
It's out there.
It would be a hilarious thing, though, is the whole fan base to get behind De'Ron Holmes because of a lie.
Yeah.
And then be mad that they didn't actually get him, which would be kind of hilarious.
What do you think people would be maddest about?
If he goes before the Nuggets, and then the Nuggets pick is a little underwhelming,
He's a tiny guard.
everybody just going to talk themselves into the narrative that, of course they wanted De'Ron Holmes, and they got OG Anunoby.
They got Pacome Dud yet? Like, I've never seen anybody.
I actually kind of like him.
You kind of like this guy?
Intriguing. Very toolsy.
What about Cam Spencer?
Don't like him.
Don't like him. All right, Cam Spencer then. They take that's
You're not taking Cam Spencer at 28.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
At 28?
I think there's pressure on him. I think the fan base will. I think there's a lot of. I think the fan base will be uneasy tomorrow. That's kind of my prediction.
Totally.
But as we were talking, then we'll go to break. As we were talking, it all came down to the Nuggets were so close to being in back-to-back Western Conference Finals, literally moments away. You could argue they were pretty close to being the back-to-back finals, and you could argue they were pretty close to being back-to-back champions. All of those were right there. And the kick to the gut, or the punch to the gut that the Nuggets season was for Nuggets fans, it can taint your perspective of what the team should do in a way that is not helpful.
Right. Here's what I'm trying to say to everybody that is freaking out about the direction that the Nuggets are going, Calvin Booth's philosophy here. If Jamal Murray gives you a B-level playoffs, a B-level series against Minnesota, you're probably in the finals. If he's 70%, 80% of what he was in the playoffs last year, you're probably in the finals. Forget the bench. Forget Christian Brown, Peyton Watson. Forget the backup point guard. If Jamal Murray just plays well in the playoffs, you're probably in the finals, and nobody gives a shit about the bench, Project Dynasty, the draft and develop timeline. All of that's gone.
I agree, man. I said it 100 times
and the conversation is totally different.
As soon as it started, that we were going to, and it's not that it's unfair now to do it, it's just the way that it works, going to have a bunch of, in hindsight, conversations about process and every decision that was made. And look, the bench wasn't great. I do think that to me, it was sort of funny how much of a talking point that became. It makes sense examining it from this wide lens, but the starters got rocked. Like the starters just weren't.
The bench was good against Minnesota.
Yeah, the starters weren't good enough against Minnesota. And so what now, whether that's the starters need to be changed up or you put that on Malone or you put that on Jamal and Mike, however you view it, that really was the story. And so it's easy to go ifs, ands, or buts, but a 20-point lead, you're at least the first team in like half a decade to make it back to the Western Conference Finals after winning.
Yep.
So I guess my point is, it's not that anything is unfair off. It's just it always the gap always feels so wide when you fall just short, but it may still be that they fell just short.
And equally as important, the draft is always a night of optimism, and that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that the draft is usually fun. Throw a little caution to the wind, channel your optimistic self, and I feel like Nuggets Nation is not quite in that mode. And I'm telling you, get in that mode, because you only get so many drafts in your life to watch, and you might as well have some fun and cheer and boo as accordingly. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, 2 prospects to get to today. 2 prospects: Tyler Smith, Terrence Shannon.
Guys, Vestibule, as sports fans, we've all had the thought, what if you could buy stock in athletes? Now you can with Vestibule. It's a new app, first of its kind investment app, where fans can invest in an athlete's career and get paid a portion of the athlete's income throughout it for doing so. Finally, real athlete stocks. That's what you can do on Vestibule. Hit that QR code right there on the screen. Download the app. Baron Browning of the Broncos. He's the first athlete that they launched on Vestibule. Explosive, dominant young pass rusher in the league. Definitely on an upward trajectory. He's in his rookie contract right now, heading for what could be a big payday, big contract extension. So now's the time to invest in him. You don't want to miss out. The IPO for Baron Browning live right now on Vestibule. Shares are available for purchase, but they're limited. So go download the Vestibule app now and invest. You can hit that QR code right there on the screen and invest in Baron Browning. Maybe a good investment if you're looking at the Broncos roster as a whole. Probably not many of those on there.
Bet365 is not an investment app. You can put some money on athletes, though. You can win some money watching your favorite athletes, your favorite teams, your favorite sports. And that doesn't just have to be win or lose. That doesn't just have to be what seems like the most epic moments to you, because at Bet365, they don't do ordinary. They think every sport, every moment should be epic. And right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use code DNVR365 to sign up. Deposit $10, and then you're going to get to choose between one of these 2 offers: a bet and get offer. Place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. So yeah, you don't have to bet on the NBA either, right? Obviously, it's what if you're watching soccer right now, baseball. If you were really into that comeback that wasn't the Stanley Cup, you can be playing along with all of it at Bet365. You have to be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
We are back. Very excited for tomorrow's show, guys. You're going to want to tune in if you're not making it down here. Make it down here if you can.
You're going to want to make it down here.
We always do our little, we have little themes and traditions we do. I'm very excited about all of those. The draft, man, should be fun. All right. One guy we might talk about tomorrow in some capacity. Tyler Smith, the lamest name probably in the entire draft.
Tyler
Smith.
Go.
Tyler Smith.
Not stacking up to Adam Bona.
I like Adam Bona, man.
I know you do.
We should have a names ranking. He'd be high.
Tyler Smith, so 6'10 center, 7'1 wingspan, played for the G League Ignite last season.
That's still a thing.
Well, it's no longer a thing.
Well, it was a thing.
He was on the
He was one of the last Ignite.
yeah, the last two Ignite.
The last Ignite.
Before that, he played for Overtime Elite, big time prospect. He's been on the scene for a while, and it's interesting, man. He's not a Calvin Booth type of pick. 19 years old, still pretty raw. Probably needs a little bit of seasoning, but. Friend of the show, Kristen Peak, who's been on this show, great draft analyst over at Yahoo Sports, she's been mocking Tyler Smith to the Nuggets on her last couple mock drafts. So it's worth talking
It's good
about.
to know, yeah.
The skinny on him, he looks the part. This guy, Tyler Smith, looks the part as a modern NBA big. I kind of get some Naz Reid vibes with him. He's around that size. He's got a really good three-point shot. He's a lefty, though. Great athlete too, can jump out of the gym, lob threat at the rim, can sky to block shots. But the drawbacks are he's just pretty raw, pretty inexperienced, only 19 years old. Had a relatively good season in the G League, all things considered. Averaged 13.5 points, 48% from the floor, 36.5% from three, decent from the free throw line. The shot is the best thing about him, but some question marks with his defense. And also, he's not a guy that you can slot into the rotation next year.
It's a project.
Like Deron Holmes or Kyle Filipowski, potentially. So, that's Tyler Smith. He is currently 32nd on our big board.
So when you talk about, Cal guys, the thing he has is 5-star recruit. I know one thing he's always said about Peyton Watson was this guy was the best player in L.A. his senior year. He was a 5-star recruit. All this stuff, and then value got depressed at UCLA. Sounds like you can make a same case here. So, similar thing, 5-star recruit, went to the G League Ignite, which kind of ruined everyone.
How do you turn a late first into a lottery? You take maybe next year's lottery guy in the late first before everyone else. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, in general, do you guys feel like if they draft a center, you're hopeful it's someone who can play right away, or do you view that as a pipeline sort of thing?
More pipeline.
More pipeline.
Here's another thing, though. This draft pick coming up is the last one the Nuggets have for a few years, I believe. So from that perspective, you could say, let's not get the ready-made guy. Let's not get the Hunter Tyson, the Strother, the Christian Brown, the guy that can come in immediately. We've got those guys. Let's put a guy in the pipeline that maybe has a higher ceiling, but is going to take a little bit longer to cook.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, I like, again, I've said all summer that I was almost startled at how unathletic the Nuggets looked, for a team that's so capable of so much. They don't have a lot of that. So investing in the backup center, just hoping you can find a long-term option there. Buying in athleticism, that I get, but I am also hesitant of a raw talent coming from a team that hasn't really hasn't put it all together as a developmental project as that team was. I mean, there's been some bad basketball played there, so you could pretty easily talk yourself out of it as well. I would say it's too many question marks for me.
That's what I was going to say. This is a lot of question marks for this guy, and it's one of those things where it's like. I understand what you're saying about the future draft picks. There is something to that. If you don't have a draft pick next year and you feel like you already have enough young guys, this guy does become the Peyton Watson next year's draft pick.
Right.
So there is something to that. But at the same time, man, we're talking about being at critical mass of young players. To take a guy that is a project, that's almost different than taking a guy that's even less of a project. A guy that's a super project, that's tough, man. That's tough. So interesting. Kristen Peak, though. Mocking this to Denver, that means something. The mock drafts early on, and when I say early on, I mean everything before this week. I don't think they mean that much, but they do start to form. From the newsbreakers, she's one of them where it starts to get more and more accurate. Not perfect, but more and more accurate. So I feel like that means something.
Yeah, I mean that's why I felt like we needed to bring him up because he has been a guy loosely tied to the Nuggets.
Shades of Charlie Villanueva, according to the Ringer, which is hilarious.
Well, his shot is his best attribute. That is a hilarious comp by my guy KOC.
Can I tell you something, Charlie?
Unbelievable comp.
New York Ravens, Charlie Villanueva, unbelievable player.
New York
at
Ravens?
at the Adidas big time.
I
Back.
thought you were going to say UConn.
My
Charlie
high school
Villanueva.
class. I watched this guy. He was unbelievable. Curtis Sumter. They had a super team, man.
Yeah, Sumter. Loved him. But yeah, Tyler, I mean, his best skill right now is his three-point shot. Got a really good shot, really good three-point stroke. He's going to be a good shooter. And then the athleticism is the other thing. Super athlete.
I think they won the big time, actually. All right, let's go to the other.
I mean, with a big two like that,
I'm telling
Sumter,
you.
Villanueva, big two.
They
A little
beat-
inside-outside game going on.
Actually, the New York Ravens was Francisco Garcia's team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, New York's own.
Yeah, and then Charlie Villanueva was on the other team that beat
Francisco
him. I can't
Garcia,
remember.
one of my early favorite players at Louisville.
Dude, he had a coach, his AAU coach, by the way, that just screamed and talked shit the whole game, and they were an
I could see
incredible team.
I can see it.
Those top AAU programs are awesome, freaking awesome. All right, what else we got?
Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Terrence Shannon Jr.
Okay.
He is currently 35th on our big board, projected late first, early second round pick. He fits the mold a little bit more as a Nuggets recent draft pick. He's older. He's 23. He's played 5 seasons in college, pretty much like a 5-year starter kind of. Was at Texas Tech, spent these last 2 years at Illinois. He is a scorer. Terrence Shannon is a bucket, averaged 23 points per game last year from the guard spot. He's 6'6", good size for a 2-guard. Shot 47.5% from the field, 36% from 3, 80% from the line. Projects really good as a 3-point shooter. 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, a steal and a block per game. He is just a really, really good basketball player. He can score from anywhere on the court. He can create shots for others. ISO, off the dribble drive game. He's got it all on the offensive side of the floor. Defensively, there's some question marks, a bit streaky as well. And he also had some off-the-court issues that he did get cleared for, but that's something that's kind of been hanging over his head for the last year or so. He's a really good college player. And if you look at the Nuggets bench, next to a Christian Brown, who's not, the most offensively gifted guy, next to a Peyton Watson, also not the most offensively gifted guy, putting Shannon there, who can just get buckets, is interesting to think about.
Yeah, maybe sort of the way we already think about Julian Strother in a
Right.
sense. Real quick, on that board it said undersized as a weakness. Was that a mistake? Because I also feel like
I think
or are we
they,
talking
no, because I think one of the things I've seen about him is that he can't guard. Like, he's not going to be switching on to 4s, even though he's a big guy. He's not going to be able to like.
I follow, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the heights.
By the way, because I feel this way a little bit. I know it's my guy, but I feel this way about Jalen Pickett. Like, even though he's small, he's strong. Like,
Right.
Drew Holiday's not big, but he's strong. You wouldn't say he's undersized.
Sure.
But there are players who are tall and undersized.
Right. So we're just talking about slight, really. Okay, I got you. Understood. I mean, look. On one hand, you go, where would someone like this kind of insert themselves into the lineup right now? Let's just assume Murray's staggering, and whether or not it's multiple starters, he's the backup point guard, or the one that's playing with the bench, and Christian Brown's already there. So I guess maybe if Peyton Watson's a 4, you can there's room here for either him or Strother to kind of light it up. Denver does need some scoring off the bench.
Absolutely.
And one that doesn't necessarily need someone to set the table. So if you want to talk yourself into it from that perspective, there's some fit here for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this guy. I mean, obviously,
He's a professional scorer. You do kind of wonder, though, he's also a lefty. And you're just like, isn't this just what they are hoping Julian Strother is next year?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you're going to find
some overlap, some redundancy.
You're going to find
yeah.
some redundancy pretty much anywhere but backup center, I think, right? Because even if it's a point guard, you can say, whether you like him or not,
That's true.
Pickett's still there.
That's true.
And he's a guy who needs the ball in his hands. So you're going to run into some redundancy, I think, anywhere outside of center.
There's also this, man. Like, Pickett is a 0 on the proven scale, I think. Don't you guys think? Like, there's nothing.
yeah, 0.
Like, he's a 0 on a scale of 0 to 10. What is Julian Strother? Or I should say a 1 on the scale of 1 to 10. Let's not be rude.
Strother's
Strother?
probably like a 3 or 4.
4? I was going to go 4.
4 is really high to me. I don't know if he's a 4. He barely played and he didn't make any of his threes.
I think the organization rates him higher as in like
But
he's
I'm
likely
asking,
to.
but what we've seen though.
Oh, I see.
I'm just saying, like, what's the evidence? Because
I think he looked. I feel like if we went back, he seemed pretty competent in that role. Again, I'm not putting him over 5. I'm not saying
Here's a tough
crossed the barrier to where he's something.
I'd be curious to see like his numbers and Zeke Najee's rookie numbers side by side. Minute totals.
I mean, you could just go with the eye test. And
Well-
also, Zeke was pretty good as a rookie.
Yes, he had a good college year.
This is kind of my point. Is I'm just saying that we would not say they shouldn't take a good point guard, questionable point guard. Of course, like I think you don't want to have that, but you wouldn't say they shouldn't bring in a point guard because they already have Pickett. But we're saying that about Strother, and I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I'm admittedly a little bit more skeptical of Strother. I love him. I want him to be great. I just feel like I haven't seen the thing that makes me say, oh, yeah, that's going to be it.
Oh, yeah. I 100% agree. Now, Shannon is more just the pure bucket getter, where I think Strother,
More shooter.
deep three-point shooter, has the floater as well. But
off ball.
Shannon kind of has everything to his game. He can score in isolation, off the dribble. He can break his man down in a way that I don't think Strother really can. So they're a little different in that way. But also they also just kind of look pretty similar when you pull up both their highlights.
See a Malone guy?
I think he could be.
I think sounds like a Tim guy. He is nice with the rock.
Is he
Have you
nice
guys
with it?
considered that he's nice with the rock?
Yeah.
Well, I love his comp of Tyreek Evans, by the way. One of my all-time favorite players. Super rookie season. The guy was compared to LeBron James.
Well, 25-5. Only him and LeBron did
Only
that.
him and LeBron, man. And then it was like that was the
Yeah.
peak. Him and Michael Carter Williams peaked.
I mean, Shannon right now, Kristen has him going 24th, so before the Nuggets. I mean, he's been mocked in that late first-round range.
He's the type of player that falls, though.
I do wonder. He is the type of player, kind of
Cam Whitmore last
older,
year.
established guy, and also the off-the-court stuff. Like I said, he had this whole investigation. Not guilty, but still, that's a thing that even though he's not guilty, teams still factor in.
It's a
Totally.
good point. It's a good point. But I do think, as far as on the court stuff, let's in the scenario that they do use the pick, and it's not a ready now center. If this fellow were to slide to 28, I just think you can talk yourself into it. More intrigue here for me with him than some of the other guys we've looked at, who I've maybe passed on quickly.
Weirdly, that he's more of a mystery box, it almost feels, despite the fact that he's played this so much, and he's so old. But
He's ready to go, though.
I think he's ready to get some buckets, and I
Yeah.
mean, if Denver's.
we need buckets.
Yeah,
man.
and you're probably not finding this wonderful playmaking point guard to change your whole life here. To
Well,
play
unless
with
you pick Jalen Tyson, then you get all of that in one.
So
I love our agendas.
I'll talk myself into it if they take him. Yeah,
We've been talking about like Bones Highland was the guy that could get into the paint off of burst. Is he, because Denver doesn't have those guys. Even Jamal Murray is not the best at this. Could he be one of these guys that gets it? Just a guy that collapses defenses
Yeah.
with his speed.
Totally. But he's looking to score every time.
Right.
But yeah, he can definitely break his man down and get into the lane.
Well, there you
Get
go.
to the paint. Make stuff happen.
All right, let us know in the chat. I'm curious. Let us know in the comments if you're watching late, because I actually am very curious what Nuggets Nation is feeling as we go through all these scouting
Me too.
reports and what you guys like. So let us know. Let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to start running through the draft order and just talk about some early thoughts about the teams picking and see if there's any patterns we see.
Guys, it's Manscaped time. It's officially Smooth Sack Summer. You know it.
dude, I've been waiting
It's
for
officially
Smooth Sack
here.
Summer.
Get set up with Manscaped, the performance package.
Smooth Sack Summer,
5.0.
Kale.
Yeah, Kel, Smooth Sack Summer.
No, he
brother.
said smooth sack summer.
What are you?
Yeah.
You're behind this trend, brother.
Kale, it's in the copy.
Yeah, dude.
It's in the read.
I guess we know who hasn't been Manscaped.
I guess we know. Don't be like Kale.
Don't be
Get
like
more like
Kale.
Win.
Get
That's
on
crazy,
the board.
brother.
Man with the wind in his balls.
Sure. The Performance
my.
Package 5.0. Ultra. The Ultra Performance Package 5.0. The ultimate bundle to help you out during the summer. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use the code DNVR. Use the code Nuggets20. I don't know why that does not say that up here. Use the code Nuggets20, manscaped.com. 20% off plus free shipping with the code Nuggets20. Manscaped.com gets it up for the summer with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. You get a pair of Manscaped boxers. You get a Shed travel bag. You get some other stuff in there as well. Check it out. Manscaped.com. 20% off with the code Nuggets20.
Infinity Park is a neat little gem here. There's a neat little gem going on in Colorado if you're looking for family-friendly activities and more sports in your life, because the American Raptors, Colorado's only professional rugby team, they play there.
I was just hanging with our guy Colton Strickler at the golf course over the weekend. Love that dude. And yeah, they have their big event coming on, the Sevens.
Good transition, because Colton Strickler covers Colorado's only professional rugby team. He actually hosts the weekly DNVR Rugby Podcast here on the network. Subscribe wherever you get the rest of our pods. Follow him at Colton Strickler and our at DNVR_rugby account to keep up with the latest news. He's pretty good at helping the rugby players get what they're looking for, helping the layman's figure it out with the one-on-one stuff.
Sevens is here in August. We're going to be going down there as a company, but it is...
Man, that's going to get rowdy.
It is going to get rowdy because, one, Sevens is like speed rugby. It plays quicker, more dynamic. And then, two, it's costume themed every single day. There's a Western theme.
Have you ever seen
remember what they were, Kale? What was
Have you ever seen
Western?
what Rugby Sevens looks like in Australia or something?
It's nuts, man.
Yeah. Like,
That's
people
why-
die.
I want it to become a thing
In the
here.
crowd.
I want it to become a thing because it's like a festival and a sporting event in one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you can just join the city of Glendale for
It's like Burning Man, but a rugby game.
With a rugby game in the middle, exactly.
Yeah, all day.
when the rugby matches aren't happening. Glendale's a very chill place to bring your family. Good segue. Join the city of Glendale for a fun-filled 4th of July celebration on July 2nd at Infinity Park.
Yeah, Josh from Down Under knows what we're talking about.
Oh, he knows Sevens.
From
man.
Down Under. The evening kicks off with a screening of the classic movie Independence Day. Hell yeah, brother, at 7 p.m. Setting the perfect patriotic mood for the main event. Gates open at 6:30 p.m., so be sure to arrive early to secure your spot. Then, get ready to be dazzled as the fireworks light up the sky at 9:30 p.m. I'm talking myself into this right now as I do the read. Fans will be able to see the show from inside the stadium and on Infinity Park turf, but please know that stadium seating will be limited as the capacity will be 4,000 people for this event. It's an evening you do not want to miss.
Don't want to miss it. Alrighty, we are back here. Guys, we thought we'd go through the draft order and just kind of talk about some of our expectations. I'm going to use ESPN's mock draft because I feel like Gavoni usually... Again, nobody's perfect. There's misdirection and everything else, but you get a bit of a strong idea. The Atlanta Hawks with the #1 pick, and he's got them taking Zachary Reisaker. Did I get that right?
No.
What is it?
Ricochet.
Can we do...
Ricochet.
He's French.
Ricochet.
You know who Ricochet is?
Clearly not.
He's the French Michael Porter.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man.
I'm in.
All night tomorrow, I'm going to be distilling the draft down, so even people who have never seen these guys before, like you, can imagine what they look like.
I'm not scouting the #1 guy in this draft for sure.
French Michael Porter.
French
What?
Michael Porter.
French
huh?
Michael Porter,
So you're in?
he shot 35% from 3 last year.
Yeah, we were good.
Vogt. That was at 19 years old in the French A-League.
Oh, dude, now
That Michael Porter famously shot terribly in high
this
school.
is true. In high school, when he told us he shot 70% from 3.
And the tape backs it up, by the way.
And I was like, I kind of believe it. I needed people to talk me out.
Nate Duncan called Michael Porter the greatest high school prospect he'd ever seen.
Shout out back surgeries.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Hawks are really doing.
But
Are they
isn't
going for it? Are they trading everybody? What are they doing?
But when isn't part of it
that-
that
I've heard DeJounte Murray has some strong interest from other teams in the West. So
but isn't
I
some
can't
of it that
expect him
Sarr
to-
doesn't want to go there?
Yeah, Alex Sarr, the #2
won't work
pick,
out for him.
who did high school in Atlanta, kind of at overtime elite, doesn't want to go to the Hawks.
Overtime elite. It is funny, like those where it's like you're not really there. You're at the school. You're not in Atlanta. You're just going to the school here. I think here's the thing. I actually think this is an important pick. And when you read about the top of the draft, there are these like picks that can really determine how the rest of them go. Atlanta, I don't think it's as much the pick as it is there's a lot of trades they could make this summer. They're one of the teams that has the most wide range of possibilities. And while it doesn't always happen on draft night that those trades start happening, it could. And that's why the draft, they're an interesting first pick. Usually the first pick, it's like, all right, we already know Zion's going to the Pelicans. This is a year where it's like, all right, man, there could be some shakeups, there could be some trades, there could be some movement. Ricochet.
Yeah.
Number 2, Washington Wizards, picking in their familiar spot, number 2. Spoiler alert, they'll be the second pick next year as well.
Maybe the first if they're lucky.
And Alex Sarr here, so...
Yeah, I mean, Sarr's been the number 1 guy pretty much like the last 6 months or so. He's kind of a really raw Jaren Jackson Jr. defensive guy. 7 feet. Like you can see it, you know.
It's a good prospect, not a chance he works out in Washington. That's what we're talking about here.
I mean, probably.
This is the guy that has like the wide ceiling and floor, you know, kind of guy.
so
Needs some lots, and you're like, okay, if you go to Washington, floor.
I know it's like I know the Hawks aren't the model organization of the league, but between the first or second slot devs here, by the way, like going from getting to play in Atlanta to having to play in Washington, that's a pretty steep drop off. That's a
Yeah.
But hey, maybe that's what he wants.
Do you like Sarr?
Yeah. I can see the vision, you know.
Yeah.
Like you just put on his tape and you're like, oh yeah, you can see it. But I think there are some motor work ethic questions about him. I mean, never liked those with the big man.
Classic big men problem.
I know.
It's classic big man. Does he even like the game? We're not sure, but he is enormous.
Yeah.
And was forced to play by his dad.
Yeah, cry me a river, dude. Yeah, must suck just
He probably
being
has
an NBA sized person.
the highest ceiling.
Yeah.
I would say.
That's why I said it's the widest range.
I'd probably say he has the highest ceiling. Like, he's the guy you take one, and you're probably not going to get fired immediately if he doesn't pan out quickly because he just looks the part.
Slow and patient with him. Yeah. All right, what else we got? Number 3, the Houston Rockets via the Brooklyn Nets. And Gavoni has them with Reed Shepherd. The Rockets are another super interesting team to meet actually tomorrow.
I know.
They're actually really interesting. The Rockets, by all accounts, want to turn the page. They're not interested in this slow rebuild, despite the fact that they have tons of players we all love. So they're a team that could end up making some moves. Although the latest intel has been that a lot of the guys we've talked about most, even Jayshawn Tate, they don't have interest in moving. So who knows?
They haven't had interest in moving him for the last 10 years. Reed Shepherd, really good player. Really good player. Like 6'2", 6'3" guard out of Kentucky. He knows the game, man. Like, he is really, really solid. He's just a 6'2" white guy.
Yeah,
Do you have a Reed Shepherd take?
It seems like it's acknowledged that he's very good at basketball. It seems like a tough one to be staring at sitting at 3. Like, do we? You know what I mean? This is not a draft where people really love
Yeah.
a lot of these picks to begin with. And I just think if you're really trying to accelerate your timeline between packaging some of the guys you have and this pick, it's all theoretical, of course, when you talk like that, probably netting you a more, like moving you more to the win now direction than drafting Reed Shepherd to me. That just,
Yeah, this feels like a pick you're trading. And
I was going to say, here's my pick. This is the first trade of the draft, and it
somebody's
happens
trading
3.
up for Donovan Clingan.
I don't think you can take Reed Shepherd.
And I think it throws the whole board off. This is why I think tomorrow could actually be fun. Is there's less
tomorrow's gonna be
consensus,
wild.
there's less top players at the great players or guys that you think are surefire players at the top. So I think you get trades. And then, by the way, the Houston Rockets have so many young guys that to give them another
I
one and
know.
Reed Shepherd almost cannibalizes
They
you.
almost have
That's
more
kinda
young
what
guys
trading
than
it.
the Nuggets.
And like, you have a lot of young buckets too. Do you need
Yeah,
like just add
buckets.
like a younger, smaller one? You
Yeah.
know, I don't know. But I'm not saying he's a very good player.
Who's next?
San Antonio's next. And they have Stephen Castle out of UConn as one of the guys that they're looking at here, which is funny because I've also heard them connected to Klingon, the beast, which if you...
I don't understand that really.
Why?
Well, Wembanyama is your center.
Is he
It's
your
a good
center?
point, Wind.
I think
Is he your center?
I think he is. your center.
Wembanyama?
I'm just saying he can play out on the perimeter. He can shoot. And if you said our team is going to be 7'7" and 7'2" with a 7'9" and 7'7" wingspan, I just would say I don't know that a team would ever score on that.
This feels like a classic Deron Holmes type misdirection.
They should just take
Anyway, there's rumors about them liking both guys.
At that
so-
point, they
and it worked out for the Knicks, for the Nova Knicks. The UConn Spurs, it kind of works out.
All right, fine. They should just take Zach Edey at that point too. just be like, you shall not
If I'm the
pass.
Spurs, there's one guy I really want in the lottery.
Who is it?
It's Nikola Topic, the Serbian point guard.
Because
He's perfect.
he's a classic Spur.
6'6".
He's injured.
point guard. Yeah, just give him a redshirt year.
Man, 2 redshirt years for Wemby. Maybe you get lucky and win Cooper
Well, the
Flag.
Spurs have another pick too, but
They have 8. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
if
they have
I'm
an eye on
them,
both.
I'm getting Topic.
So you like Topic?
I love
Do you
Topic.
like Castle?
Yeah, I don't know like what his ceiling looks like, but he's really solid all around.
Here's what's funny how I've approached these things. When you're a lottery pick on a team like UConn, I almost think, well, did the system help you? You know, like you were this or that. But then when you're a late guy,
I know.
I go like, you know what though?
Winner comes from a winning culture.
Winner culture. Like, I might actually
yeah,
be
if you're
good.
like a smaller, gritty guard that came from a winner, that works.
It's kind of how I look at the little I've looked at Castle. The Detroit Pistons are next. This is an interesting one because
This is probably a bust. You don't even have to tell me the name.
well, I don't know because Trajan Langdon has taken over there, cleaning house, and he has the pocketbook to do it, as evidenced by paying $65 million for Monty Williams to get out of there.
It definitely has the.
But I know from him being in New Orleans last year, and just obviously know some people in New Orleans, talk to them. He has been a guy that everybody has said he's the next great GM.
Right.
He is a guy that everybody believes in. He just arrives there, clearly cleaning house. To me, they're another wild card. And by the way, another feature of Trajan Langdon, extremely introverted personality. So not a guy that
Good
I think.
note.
What's that?
Good
I
note
don't
on
know that he's going to be a guy that's like, oh, everybody knows where that guy's information comes from. He might be a guy that just doesn't share it. Might be an Arturus.
A bad GM.
Yeah, we're not. We have to be sure Arturus has opinions first of all. Kidding.
Arturus, I don't think is texting Woj, like every thought he has. I think
Yeah.
Trajan Langdon might do that. So another variable.
I'll tell you what I do know
And
about
they're trying to be
Arturus.
good too. The Pistons.
Since we're doing fun
They
facts,
gotta have that cap space.
big Europop guy, Arturus. Just so you know, that's what I happen to know.
Well, I mean, Lithuanian.
Hey, you sit next to him for 3 hours, you learn something. That was the one thing.
Matas Bazulis.
I think this is a bust. I don't get Bazilis.
Really?
Have you watched him? Mm-mm. I don't see the appeal.
I know him mostly for incessantly calling out the French Michael Porter Jr. to play
Right.
one-on-one
Yeah.
as top right. He's been calling him out that they should just play
So I
each
assume, is this guy Lithuanian? Is it,
Yeah, he's Lithuanian.
Yes. He
Man, I
also
love
played
that.
at the G League.
Fiery.
Ignite.
Like Jasikevicic.
I mean, Bazelis, like, you look at him and you're like, oh, 6'7", can handle the ball, good athlete. But
Yeah.
I don't think he's that elite at anything.
Well, maybe they take Dalton Connect, who's the next guy on the board. Charlotte Hornets have him going there,
Yeah.
which is an interesting fit for Dalton Connect. Spoiler alert, I love the guys from my hometown,
Yeah. Colorado guy.
Colorado guy,
Don't love the fit.
in Charlotte.
Yeah.
But is this like Washington, where you're just
I
kind of
know.
like default, they never get the guys to
Connect,
perform?
he's got a pretty high floor, it feels like.
Maybe Charlotte could use like a connective good player.
Oh, my God.
I think
Is he going to be a connector?
That's what I'm just
out there?
saying. They've got some young, flashy talent.
Could you see a
but
little
maybe-
ball Dalton connection?
Yeah, a little connection. Maybe just a little floor rate. Charlotte could use some floor raising.
I actually think here, man, I know this. I talked to myself. I did this with Legs earlier, and as we were talking, I talked myself into it because I actually like Dalton Connect's game. Brandon Miller is good, better than people thought he was going to be. LaMelo Ball's good, although a little crazy. Dalton Connect, I kind of am in. That's a fun young big three. I don't think it's like a big three that you grow for 5 years and then win a title with, but I think it's one of those hilarious Darius Miles, Lamar Odom, Elton Brand trios where it's like, man, that was a sick
It's
trio.
like Gilbert Arenas, Nick Young, Karan Butler
yeah, man.
trio.
It's fun
Antoine
for a year or
Jameson.
two.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. Portland Trailblazers are up next. They
Until LaMelo Ball. Like, what's the equivalent of bringing a gun into the locker room for the Hornets?
No, it's just bringing a gun into the locker room. Just run it back. Portland Trailblazers and Klingon, the giant beast.
So this would be him slipping.
To number 7, according to this latest mock.
Yeah, that's slipping.
Port-
to the Blazers?
I would hate, honestly.
So then
with-
you're trading DeAndre Ayton. For what?
Who knows? They tried to rehab his value, instead lost even more value.
A snow shovel.
Klingon, I will say this, another giant rim protector in the West. Every team in the Northwest Division is like,
Oh,
all right,
God.
2 bigs. We just got to get a bunch of giant centers. That's how we guard Denver.
Where does OKC pick?
12.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to trade up for Klingon, right?
Well,
You got Chet at center.
It's maybe like pocket change for them to trade up, you know? Like how hard could
The
it
Thunder
be?
are another team that could get Topic, and you're like, God damn it.
let's take a quick break. Portland, by the way, getting Klingon. I don't really think Portland's so far away that you don't really worry about them, but another center. I think Walker Kessler will be good before long.
Doesn't
in
it feel
Utah,
like
so-
Portland's kind of just drafting a fantasy basketball team. All these rookies.
None of them are that exciting.
They're just all really cool on paper, but not actually that great.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, San Antonio's next pick.
Westera Credit Union, guys, founded in 1934 right here in Colorado, 9 locations in the Denver metro area. They're all about helping members financially prosper. Education is their thing. They were started by a group of 8 school teachers. Helping others is in their DNA. They just launched an awesome new product, Smart Money Checking. Meet the checking account designed to help you earn unheard of interest on smaller balances. With other great perks as well, you can earn up to 6% annual percentage yield on your first $2,000 each month. As your balance grows, so does your potential to unlock additional great rates for higher balances. That's the same as saving $120 per year. In addition to the interest you earn, this account also comes with a reward debit card, no monthly maintenance fees. So check it out. If you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account, visit westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply.
And if you don't like losing money to hail season, or folks who are maybe just looking to take advantage of how little you know about what it takes to get the best roof over your home or business, you just need to reach out to the best roofers in the business. We're talking about Red Hawk Roofing. Play the sound, Kale. Yeah, they've joined the DNVR team. You know that by now. Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. Colorado's best estimators and contractors, and big-time DNVR supporters.
And also just homies, man.
They're guys. They're fellas. These are what everyone used to say about the presidential candidates. Now that's a guy I want to get a beer with.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, everyone at Red Hawk Roofing is a guy I want to get a beer with. Also, they're big Nuggets fans. You might be able to tell from the color scheme in their logo.
Maybe they'll be out tomorrow.
I bet. Just text them. I bet they would go out.
They would yell some crazy shit to that camera.
I bet they would. Come through, fellas. Hail season is here, so don't wait to take care of any issues before the more big storms hit. Supporting your local teams also means supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. So if you are looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921. Tell them DNVR sent you.
Number 8, San Antonio gets their second pick.
They need guards.
Rob Dillingham. Well, there you go. Rob Dillingham from Kentucky. Is that a good fit?
I mean, yes, but I don't know what, the total ceiling is with him. He's kind of a Tyrese Maxey type, small scoring guard.
That's a great type.
Obviously, Maxey's worked out really well. I mean, those guys historically don't, I feel like. But no, he's got a lot of juice. He's got a lot of juice to his game.
A lot of juice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He can score it, ISO guy, 3-pointer, can score from all 3 levels. I mean, the Spurs need guards, They need guys who can take a little pressure off Wemby. So it'd be a solid pick.
Memphis Grizzlies up next, picking number 9. Cody Williams. So they took Roddy, CSU guy, They take Cody Williams, man. This would be tough. They keep getting the Colorado guys.
I mean, I'm a Colorado guy. I'm a buff. I would not draft Cody Williams this high.
We were talking about this earlier.
Draft him this high. He's a project to me. Like, in terms of his skill set, I feel like he doesn't really have an NBA skill set right now. And also, he's just so skinny, man. He's so skinny. Like, he is way skinnier than Peyton Watson was as a rookie. So he's just going to take a couple years. And he also is a little injury prone, I feel like. He gets these, minor injuries that build up.
They're playing that note very hard, by the way. The CU, they're playing he was injured all year, and look what he shouldn't even played this year.
Well, he is tough. He is tough. He could have sat out longer than he did. I probably just wouldn't take him this high, though.
They also are a candidate to trade back, by the way. What was the one earlier? Detroit and them are the 2 teams that are most, I hear, aggressive, looking to move. So another team that could throw off the entire draft.
Yeah.
Utah Jazz next. Topic seems to be their guy. They're a team that still seems on the slow burn. So maybe
what is Utah really doing?
There's
rumors they're trading Kessler. That's probably bullshit, right?
He didn't play as much as I thought he was going to play this year, though.
I know.
That's the only reason I could see it being real.
Are they trying to get good around Markkanen, or are they trying to cash Markkanen in? And
that's what I'm saying. I feel like nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Are they trying to go for the play-in? Or are they wanting the tank?
It's Danny Ainge, man. You just keep the ball rolling.
Tony Jones, who used to cover them, has said that they want to be good. But
I mean,
Well, I don't. Trading Walker Kessler doesn't seem like a step towards that. I don't know.
Chicago backup center. There it is. He's good, man. I think Walker Kessler's
He
good.
is good.
Chicago Bulls. After that, poor Chicago. The 11th pick is the least sexy pick there is.
How
in the
does
draft.
this guy fit next to Josh Giddey?
Devin Carter? Yeah. Well, that's what's so funny. Devin Carter, another guard, which seems a little bit strange to them. You just traded for a guard. You still
Right.
have Levine. You still have
Right.
Dosunmu. You still have Lonzo, technically.
Devin Carter, he's the ultimate connector at the guard spot in the lottery, it feels like. Safe pick.
Oh, man. Chicago is a sad one. Oklahoma City Thunder via the Rockets. They already have this one. Another Frenchman,
Is this Salon?
Salon.
Okay, this guy. I'm giving you easy, very like identifiable comps.
Okay.
When you watch this guy, you feel like you're watching the blurry, grainy footage of Giannis Antetokounmpo in Greece. Even though this footage isn't as blurry and grainy.
So he's like Giannis.
He's like an 18-year-old, 6'11" dude.
6'11" in shoes.
Yeah. Would you take?
This guy might have some of the highest upside in the draft.
Would you take the next Giannis at 12?
It depends. Do I have to pass up on Kelly Olynyk first, or can I? Yeah, I would do it.
Watch this guy, I'm telling you.
So you like him?
6'9" without shoes.
I mean, sure.
Nah, hey, he just called him Giannis.
I do like him. I do like him. Yes, I do
Kale,
like
what
him.
am I supposed to make of this?
I do
He
like
called
him.
him Giannis.
Kale, mark it down
Then he
for the
laughed if
record.
I asked him if he liked
like
him.
him. I like him.
This guy reminds me of Michael Jordan. He's okay.
Rangy, switchable defenders. You know what I think is funny? Every year, fucking 40% of the draft is described as rangy and switchable. And then like
Nobody can do
4
it.
teams in the league have a rangy, switchable guy. Like, what's going on?
This
But
guy, intriguing.
Sacramento, Ron Holland. Do you have a take on Ron Holland?
Yeah, I kind of think Ron Holland is a guy where if you slide far enough, like where you're picking, you just take a flyer.
Really? He's a flyer? All these
Ron
Ignite
Holland's
guys.
the sexy pick that's like, oh, he's actually top 3 on my board.
Because he was used to be ranked higher, but then
Yeah.
he slid a little bit.
Had
And
the G League Ignite bad
so,
season.
so there's an easy, like, are
Even
we
though he had a decent
overthinking it?
season.
But I do think with players where that's the question, are we overthinking it? When you get to a spot late enough in the lottery or just into the late teens, that equation changes. Like,
Yeah.
Obviously, honestly, Michael Porter Jr. is a great example for Denver of, like, well, hang on a second. Who are we really getting here? And this
Right.
guy has talent. Let's give it a shot. I mean, he's really athletic and he can defend now. And he's at least a fun pick. So I think for someone drafting this late, you could definitely get excited about Ron Holland.
I was a little surprised to see Malik Monk being retained there, though. I thought I thought he was for sure gone. So for them running it back that way, they're another team that I just have my eye on. I would not be surprised if they made a move.
Yeah.
Here in the next week, including as early as tomorrow. Portland Trailblazers once again via the Warriors. Jacoby Walter. Do you like him?
I don't know that much about him. He's just like a
Great shooter.
pretty like projectable 2-guard. Good shooter, good athlete, 6'5" out of Baylor. I think.
Legler liked this guy a lot. We talked
Interesting.
about him on the All NBA show today quite a bit. And he was
He's
a
a
big
guy I
fan.
haven't like looked at all because he's just not really relevant to the
Okay.
Nuggets.
Miami Heat, Zach Edey. Edey does not seem like a Heat to me.
So here's another take I have about the draft. The biggest sleeper in the draft, I think, is Zach Edey. I
Really?
think everybody might be totally overthinking Zach Edey. Now, he might not be good. Like that, you can obviously see how he could bust. He's just too slow. He'll get abused defensively. He just doesn't fit into the NBA. But in a bad draft, a guy that was as dominant as him in college, is everybody just kind of overthinking it a little bit?
Or just what's the point of letting him slide? Again, it's the same dynamic I was just describing. At some point late enough into the draft, like of all the guys, all these guys are going to have question marks. So maybe you just want to grab the 7 foot, 900 foot tall person that was a good basketball player in college. It's not like he was
Good. He's the back-to-back player of the year.
That's what right. That's what I'm saying. No, like sometimes you see these guys and you're like, well,
Yeah.
the measurables are insane or whatever, and he could turn into this. Like Zach Edey was a very good player. So
Like, am I going to take Cody Williams, who I need to wait 3 years to find out if
Right.
he's going to be anything?
Yeah, I'm with you. At some point in this draft, I think you just take him, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Now,
But
would I take him if I was a team? No, because I just feel like it's a distraction a little bit when you have a guy with the name power of Zach Edey and you're like
He
trying
is a
to
distraction?
a little bit. Yeah.
Huh.
I think it's the same kind of thing when you take a guy like Bol. That was a little bit of a distraction. It's
These are
that kind
such
of
different
dynamic.
distractions to me. I think he's a
But
small
it's a
one.
guy who, the fan base is going to be clamoring for
Yeah.
nonstop, and he might not be good. So I wouldn't want it, but from afar, I'm like, there could be something there.
Philadelphia 76ers, Jared McCain. We don't have to talk about him. Let's just roll through the first round here. Los Angeles Lakers, Tristan da Silva.
That would
Another
suck.
Colorado guy. Yeah, would that one hurt a little bit?
Yeah, that would hurt.
Oh, I
That one
like
would
him
hurt.
too. Yeah.
You do?
He's
Yeah.
good.
You're a pretty big fan?
Well, I just thought like Cody Williams wasn't very good.
Yeah.
This guy was actually good.
Man, you want to know the worst name in the draft? Orlando Magic, Johnny Furphy. Because you get two types of F sound, which is never good. The F and the PH.
You also know exactly what this guy looks like just by reading his name.
Furphy. Toronto Raptors, Kaishan George.
Bust. I'm calling that.
All right. Cleveland Cavaliers, Carlton Carrington. New Orleans Pelicans, Ives Missy.
Yves Misi.
Yves?
Really raw, like 19-year-old big man. I gotta stop saying the word raw. This feels a little wrong.
That's everybody. Phoenix Suns, Ryan Dunn. Oh, I would hate that because that's one of my guys. I
Yeah.
love Ryan Dunn. He might end up being number one on my guys list.
He's
tomorrow.
also just the type of guy Phoenix needs.
They
That'd
desperately
be
need
a
it.
great pick for the Suns.
but also maybe not. I don't know. There's also a part of me that goes. He's
It's
not.
just
You know what
such
he's
a
not?
bad culture that
Yeah.
everybody who goes there is just flames out.
Well, also,
immediately.
you know what? He's not a hooper, and I just feel like it will end up getting to the playoffs where he's the guy nobody guards in the corner, and then Kevin Durant's just like looking
and
at him
he's
the whole
getting
time.
all the blame.
Milwaukee Bucks, Kyle Filipowski. This one might hurt Wind a little bit. By the way,
Again,
they're rumored to be trading Brooke Lopez, so they might need a.
And Bobby Portis. They're going to take a big man. This is a potential Deron Holmes landing spot as well, Milwaukee. Look, Filipowski's good. I just don't want him.
Okay. The Knicks via the Mavericks.
If that
Isaiah
makes
Collier.
any sense whatsoever.
Collier. You got Terrence Shannon Jr. also, who we just talked about going to the Knicks. Knicks get back-to-back picks, huh? Right there at 24 and 25.
That's another potential Deron Holmes spot.
Washington Wizards, Khalil Ware.
We talked about him,
We have.
7-footer from Indiana.
And then Minnesota Timberwolves right before Denver. Tyler Kolek. We love doing the, Cal guys, Malone guys, but there's a Conley guy. Tyler Kolek?
Not a Conley guy.
What?
Not a Conley
He
guy.
is a Michael Malone guy.
He's a Michael Malone guy. Tim shows up that day with a trade idea no one's heard.
Yeah.
He's
Who
like
is,
Tyler Kolek, not a effing chance.
who is the most Conley guy in the draft around that zone?
It might be
It's Terrence Shannon.
It might be Terrence Shannon, dude.
Maybe Shannon.
God, they will take Terrence Shannon, won't they?
Yeah.
He's drafted some busts out there, by the way, in Minnesota. They've got,
Wendell Moore, bust.
Leonard Miller too. Like, there's some guys
Leonard-
that are not.
Leonard Miller
Minot-
might be good. Miller might be
Minot.
good.
There's some
Did
guys that
Tim
aren't
draft
playing that
Minot
well.
or did he inherit
he-
Minot?
Yeah, I think
he
last year.
drafted
They
him
drafted him.
because he was at Summer League, and I remember cooking Denver, and I was like, "This guy's going to be awesome."
He had some Karl Anthony Towns energy too. It was
Oh,
like weird
man.
celebrations.
So there you go. Those are all the players before Denver. It should be interesting, guys. You're
Who's
going
mocked to the Nuggets?
to Denver. Deron Holmes, of course.
Who?
I mean,
What?
surprise, surprise.
Can you give me the lowdown on him?
Man, I think it's not him. This is my new take because I think it is not him.
The
I only
funny
have
thing
one
is
take.
how easy it is to pick the field in a
I
draft
know.
over
It's
one
so
guy.
true.
Ryan Dunn, your number one guy.
I'm not tomorrow. Tune in. Stay
Okay,
tuned.
not even
Live
revealing.
draft
Not even
show tomorrow.
revealing it.
Come to the bar.
Vogt, we're going to need a number one guy for you, too.
Oh, I'll bring one.
Okay.
I'll bring one.
I love the draft show, guys. We're live for several hours. Come down to the bar, watch it with us. It should be a great time. Superstar Dev will be there, firing off some takes. You're not
Step
going to
away.
want to miss it. We got some super chats to get to.
Bet Dev's asleep. Euclides Ventura. Watch Jokic make all his threes in the Olympics. I'll be so pissed.
Shorter line.
I won't. I'll be happy as hell.
I know, but also pissed.
I'll be like, bring Coach Pescic in.
Ken Patterson. Where does Hunter Tyson fit into this team? Great question, actually.
That's a real
It
question.
is a great question.
I
think Hunter Tyson's pretty decent.
It's actually crazy. We didn't mention his name once this whole show.
Yeah.
I think he's a good
Why
player.
would we this show? I mean,
Good player. He could be in the Julian Strother role next
I'm just
season.
trying to say. I'm not. It's not that
He's
crazy.
in the rotation for like a couple months, then gets hurt. I could see that.
All right, yeah, that's probably safe money.
Like the Julian Strother type of season next year for him, maybe.
Cedric Exquisite. Keep KCP. And we get a great backup point guard. We're champs, baby. I made that last part up. We're champs, he said.
I get it.
P.S. No, Adam, please don't get Saric. Get Looney or Shrug.
All right. Okay. I like
Looney would be great.
I like Looney.
Macacrew. Like Adam's take on maybe the bench identity is... I like Adam's take on maybe the bench identity is not offense. Maybe it needs to be defense with Jokic. Let's get Chris Dunn or Tristan Newton in the draft.
I kind of like it too, man. You know what? If Yoke's on the court with Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, Dunn, and Michael Porter, I don't know, like that, like just one other offensive player and 3 defensive players.
Have to give
Guess
Mike the
what?
rock.
The other team has to adjust and throw their defensive guys out there still to stop Jokic.
So you trying to mix up Jokic's sub pattern?
Oh, yeah, he is.
I don't want to mix up Jokic's. I want to mix
Okay.
up everybody else's.
Okay.
But I do think Jokic playing more with Peyton Watson and Christian Brown is on my bingo card. I want those guys tied to Jokic next year. I think it would be the smartest thing.
Josh Barnett.
Down under!
From Down Under. Biggest rugby league game. State of origin, Fox Sports, 3 a.m. Players play for the home state, not their top pro team. Matas, see the Decider Bluey episode. Go Blues.
That was a perfect super chat.
Yeah.
That really hit all
It
angles.
really did. Everything got taken in there. All right, hit that outro music. Guys, thanks for hanging with us the entire time. When you see us next time, it'll be tomorrow for the draft show. It's going to be an absolute banger. Set your watches. Hit the reminder button. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.